I never in my life actually had a problem with a black woman's attitude in my life because I don't think I need to check her for being in the proper state of emotion. She's anger. Like, it's okay for my black woman to be in anger. It's okay. It's emotion. She could be angered at a situation. I'm not going to be upset and worried about what everybody else is imaging her to be this angry black woman. Go ahead, baby. Scream at me. It's okay. You could talk to me. It's safe to scream at me.
You know what I have a problem with? Not so what you said, Sharon, but since you were the last to speak, she sounds very similar to a lot of the women in the community who believe they know what black men are. And that's my issue with black women collectively, is the fact that they always speak, just like you said, we don't know the women, they don't know the men. The only thing we have in common is the fact that we share similar hues. There is so many different dynamics of being a black person, especially in America. But for whatever reason, black women think because they're black, they know all black men. And then they take on the approach of life based on her own individual outlook, whatever she's achieved, whatever she's accomplished. She's almost 40 years old and have not been able to acquire a black man in the pool of black men who, like Trev said, will probably love to date her or have an opportunity. So I would be interested, like Ma said, to what is her assessment of the pool of black men. And what's personally irritating is that most black women seem to think they got a monopoly on black men, and they don't even know half the time what the heck we want. Generally speaking, if they were so pronounced at knowing black men, they wouldn't be that single. If they were so pronounced in knowing what black men wanted, they wouldn't be walking around trying to figure this out at 40 years old. So if you come from the community, you're the expert. Wouldn't you be dominating in the realm of romance? And that's not the case. That's
no. So go ahead. The thing is that we got to start paying attention to what they're saying and really assess it properly. And if we are in a space where we talk about facts over feelings, then we should assess the facts that it is for our women is a bunch of undateable men. And it's been proven that it's like that. Just go by the stats, by how much money we making as a collective in general, not just our own circle of Willie, Trev, and Mont that's making millions of dollars every day. That is our circle. That is not the general circle. It was exaggeration, Willie. My bad. That's not the general population of black men that it got abundance of these these great men that has emotional intelligence, that can communicate, that do not communicate with anger when they are challenged. We got to understand that majority of the time when we having conversations with the general population of black men, they first reaction is anger, and that they feel like they are above any woman that they are talking to. And we need to correct that mind culture that they have as black men. We got to correct that. And once the men that are doing all the right things start correcting it and changing the culture in the way how we think as a collective, and then women will have better opportunities to find these black men that True is talking about.
I'm glad that you're on the panel, Sharon. I'm gonna tell you what I've assessed being a part of this community for so long. It is so interesting and comical to me that just based on exchanging words with black women as a black man, maybe yourself, maybe me, maybe even the men on this panel, they quickly can recognize who's from where or what their assumption is where you're from. And they bracket you based on this interaction, right? Because typically what happens is that when they identify that you're no dummy, when they identify that you actually read, now they're up against their own ego a lot of times, because what they've assessed is that we're dumber and we're slower, that we're inadequate a lot of times. So I don't agree with you that there's not a lot of adequate black men. I think black women have an ego problem, and they believe they are the monopoly of the community. Most cases. See, they're the voice of the community, but we're the leaders. And then we have to be the foot soldiers. So the issue to me is the fact that they still think they are the men collectively. Because when you say there's not a lot of adequate ones, what are we talking about? You highlighted income, which they typically do. We're not talking about character. We're not talking about network. We're not talking about these people's ability to arrive in a relationship willing and open. We immediately go to money. And to me, that is one of the biggest distractions in this particular community. Because if we're going to talk about money, we don't collectively do anything together, but we generate trillions of dollars as a collective. It makes no sense. We're contradicting things. But I'll land. I'll pass it.
And that's why it's important, because the network is a part of your character. Most people assess your character by your network. So the same way how you assess your own network, say my network got a bunch of great character dudes. They all read. They all do such a thing. They all make a certain. For some reason, when we are in our own network, our characters are all very similar for some strange reason. So your income and the people that you're around is a part of your character. We cannot separate those two things. It's just not a reality to separate your income and your character and your dating ability, your idea to check to see that a woman might have an ego and you have an ego, but the proper assessment is not to check her ego. You need to meet her ego where it's at and have a conversation with her, because once a woman see that you are at equal footing mentally, all of a sudden that attitude that black men always saying that women have, that shit goes away. I never in my life actually had a problem with a black woman's attitude in my life, because I don't think I need to check her for being in the proper state of emotion. She's anger. Like, it's okay for my black woman to be in anger. It's okay. It's emotion. She could be angered at a situation. I'm not going to be upset and worried about what everybody else is imaging her to be this angry black woman. Go ahead, baby, scream at me. It's okay. You could talk to me. It's safe to scream at me because I can handle it, whatever's going on. But when it's my turn to do the same thing and I'm fighting against the world, I come home screaming, she's going to give me the same kind of respect. So we got to stop acting like our ego just trumps their ego. They are human beings and we got to respect them as well.
I think that the rules of engagement, in my honest opinion, Sharon, is where I find, an issue. If we're going to function from the premise that we're about the community, black men don't meet each other with aggression. Black men don't meet each other with overwhelming ego, in my opinion. But for some odd reason, we've accepted that the women can just do that. To your point, they can scream and they can overtly showcase certain mannerisms. I disagree. I think that if you really want to carry yourself in the essence of being a woman, you understand where you actually lie in the hierarchy of this exchange. There's no reason why, if we're in a community, I should have to deal with your attitude off rip. I didn't earn that. So why, in the rules of engagement from human to human, am I just supposed to override your choice to have an attitude? I disagree with that. Then I'll land.
Me personally, I don't even think it matters. I like white, black, Asian, whatever the case may be. So all this is crazy. Not even going to lie. It doesn't matter. A person's going to be a person. I met white men who've been successful and has an ego. Like the race doesn't matter. It's all the same. But that's me,
Amanda, are you? Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, man.
I was about to say, your background, is it like where are you from? If you don't mind.
Jersey.
Jersey, like, were you raised like predominantly around white people, black people, mix?
She from Irvington.
You from Irvington?
No, I mean the suburbs, like it's mixed. It's half and half for the most part.
For those black people, okay, go. I was saying for those black people who find it, if you are truly from a black community and like have a big black family and stuff like that, you really won't really find the same connection in another race, even if you are tolerant, right? So I think it's reasonable to understand somebody like you. It's just a connection that you cannot find with a different race for those people. But you may be a little bit different. Maybe you're used to, maybe your vibe and your energy is not just, super black culture or something like that. Maybe you got mix in there.
No, I'm pro-black. I'm just character is character. The outside, but like I said, maybe it is because where I'm from and how I was raised.
Pro-black is a position, but I'm talking about like what's inside of you. Like, what do you gravitate towards? Like, how do you feel when you are talking to a black man? Like that feeling of comfort. Because this person really identifies with you and y'all come from the same place. Like you might be in China, you see a black person, you like, oh, it's a feeling that you get of home, right? Like, so that's all I'm saying.
Go ahead, Shan and Miss Pearl.
So I disagree. I think white men and black men are very different in how they date. They are not the same at all. And I'm not going to get into that because I don't like that black man versus white man thing, okay? But I will say that I agree with her. My connection is with a black man. man. And there's something fulfilling about being with a black man that is not the same about being with a white man, right? And I don't know what that is. It's just something that's just different. But I will say that what I believe, this is all opinionated. I think that black men are great people, right? But it is difficult to get them to commit to marry, right? You know, you've been over backwards doing flips, everything they ask you to do, and it's something about that marriage that's just is you have a better chance of of this relation. When you go in a relationship, you know that the chances of that leading to marriage is probably going to be slim to none. That's just fact. That's just statistics, right? That's what it shows. And I would also say that, and I know that there are reasons why, rightfully so, but that's just the way it is. And it doesn't matter the race. It can be, some people say, oh, it's black women. No, it happens to all races of women, because we know black men, they all races of women. And so it's just really hard to get them to commit like other black men. And I think there's something else I wanted to say, but I can't think about it, and I'm not gonna hold y'all up trying to think about it. But that's, and I think that's where she's going. She's like, I've dated these guys, they're not committing, they're not, and you're like, oh, well, you're not doing this. Okay, then you do that, and it's still not, so it's just really hard to get them to say, okay, I'm gonna take the responsibility of you, put a ring on it, let's move forward.